You're going to notice a big change in the type of trees. You'll see more Douglas fir, white fir, spruce, aspen, bristlecone pine, and limber pine out at the other end of the park. These ponderosa do very well up to 8,500 feet. However, when we get out to the south end of the park, we'll be at 9,115 feet. And that's why the big change in the type of trees out of that end of the park. Now the first building we come to up here will be the Visitor Center on the right-hand side. The Visitor Center opens at 8 o'clock in the morning, closes at 8 o'clock at night. They do show a little movie on Bryce Canyon. It starts on the hour and half hour. The movie itself is 22 minutes long, and they show that movie all day long. We also have a little museum in here in the Visitor Center. It's always nice to have something that has a white spot on it. It makes them the endangered species. However, I like to play golf, and I used to go to Cedar City to play golf. The prairie dogs just about ruined that complete golf course. But it is the only place I've ever played where it was easy to get a hole-in-one. But up here where you see this pearl finch, you'll see all the dirt mounds on the other side of it. Those are all prairie dog mounds. Most people don't realize they actually dig their little holes 8 feet deep. They have to get below the frost line. A little warmer down there in the winter time so they can... But out here, all these dirt mounds are all prairie dog mounds. What they do is come in and torch the underbrush. It burns up the pine needles, pine cones, some of the unwanted shrubbery. One of the trees that I talk about when we get up here is the bristlecone pine. And the bristlecone pine are the world's oldest living trees. Some of these trees be more than 5,000 years old, still alive. However, here at Bryce Canyon, the oldest ones we have in this park are between 2,000 and 2,500 years old. I can tell you a little story. Back in 1963, there was a college student that was doing his doctorate on the bristlecone pine and the weather pattern throughout the western United States. This had taken place at the Great Basin National Monument right on the Utah-Nevada border. And back in '63 it was a national monument, however now it is a national park. They have a tool that they would use that would drill a hole through a tree and pulls out a core sample, and they could actually age the tree without really harming the tree. Well, this young fellow's equipment was broken, so he got permission from the BLM who run the national monuments to go ahead and cut down one of these bristlecone pines. Now, he didn't pick the biggest, he didn't pick the smallest, he just picked the tree and cut it down. But when he cut this tree down, they discovered he had just cut down the oldest living tree they had ever found. The tree was called Prometheus, and it was aged at 4,330-some years old. That was back in 1963. Since that time, they have found other old bristlecones. One of them in the southeastern part of California, up in the White Mountains of California, it's above Bishop. The tree is called Methuselah, and it has been aged at over 5,000 years old, still alive. We still have a few of these very old bristlecones throughout the western United States. Now, there is one up here at Rainbow Point that I'll walk by and show it to you. It's a very young one. It's only about 100 years old, but it's not very big for being 100 years old. Shrubs I can tell you about that we have here in the park, and also some of the trees as well. I don't mind being up here when it's a little rainy, but if there's thunder and lightning in the area, we're going to turn around and head right back to the bus. So we heard no thunder and lightning, or didn't see any this morning. So hopefully we won't see any this afternoon either. This whole road was just white on the way back down. You couldn't see any lines in it or anything else. It was just solid white. Pillars out there, that's where we're going to walk to. That's Yelvempa Point. Again, it is a very easy little walk. It's all in a concrete pathway right here. Now what I'd like to do when I park the bus, if you'll walk across the street here, see the trash cans right here? There's a tree that's laying down right there behind it. I'll meet everybody right there. That's where the little bristlecone pine is located. We'll talk a little bit more about that tree and some of the other trees we have here in the park. We'll walk out to Yelvempa Point and I'll talk about some of the plants that we have along the trail there. We'll walk back to Rainbow Point here. I'll talk a little bit about the geology of this place, how Bryce Canyon was actually formed. And the last thing we'll do is go down to this end of the viewpoint. That's where the poodle is located. That's one of the hoodoos that was named by the Park Service called the poodle. I'll show you the poodle, then by then it'll be time to get back on the bus and we'll head back down the hill and stop at the other stops on the way back down. Now the restrooms are over on our right-hand side. Those are the only restrooms that are open up here. We won't see any more restrooms until we get back to Far View Point. There you go. Get on the floor. I told you it was about 100 years old. I'm going to shake it so you can see that it's not very tall. That's the top of it right there. They usually prefer soils that are so bad nothing else will grow around them. But for some reason the seed got deposited here and it started to grow, which is a good thing because we get to talk about it a little bit. Good for us, not so good for the tree. These other trees are much faster growing. They'll eventually just push it right out of the ground. They only grow in 6 different states. Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Nevada, and California are the only states that have these bristlecone pines. They can grow as high as 60 feet, which is not very high for a pine tree. You'll notice the needles are in little bundles. Each bundle has 5 needles in a bundle. There's only one other tree up here that has the 5 needles in a bundle, and that's the limber pine. I'll show you one of those when we get up to Yelvempa Point. They do get pine cones on them, but it actually takes 2.5 years for the pine cones to fully develop. There were 5 pine cones on this tree last year, but people have taken sticks and knocked them all off. So there's none for me to show you. These things down here that people think are pine cones that are starting to grow are called pollinators. 2 weeks ago, if you were out here, they were bright red. And if you flip them with your finger, the pollen just goes every place. The tree right next to it is white fir. You'll notice the needles stick right straight up in the air. When it gets cones on it, they also grow sticking right straight up in the air. The Indians would use the needles of this tree as a source of vitamin C. And if you were to chew on the needle, it kind of tastes like a sour lemon. The trees on the other side of us here are Douglas fir. In this part of the country, the Douglas fir are the tallest trees in the forest. Story has it that a long time ago this place was flooding. The little animals didn't know what to do, so they all climb up into the Douglas fir to get away from the water, but the water still kept coming up. So all the little animals jump into the cones of the Douglas fir. Finally the water settles down, the cones fall from the trees. You can still see their little feet and tails sticking out of the cones. There's a big dome. It looks like a big dome. It's 82 miles from us. That is the Navajo Mountain, a sacred place to the Indians. It's part of the Indian reservation that makes up Monument Valley. This thing was formed by magma down deep in the earth that caused the earth to be pushed up. And again, it pushed it up to 10,800 feet high. It's called a laccolith. We have several of them throughout the country. They don't all look like a big blister out of 37,000 acres. This little monument is 2 million acres. That is beautiful. Everyone knows the difference between a national park and a national monument.
Okay, todo al fondo vamos a poquito.
Single dimension, take out all the flaws. So when you take a picture of it from the corner, it looks just like that. Too bad it's not sunny because it really sticks out in the sunshine. There you look right there, it looks like a lion's head. Not put there by the Indians. In fact, the Indians would not stay in those things even if they were here when the caves were here. Because when you get inside of them, if you touch the walls, it just crumbles at the touch. It is a very unstable environment here. We get people all the time come here from Zion say, do you allow rock climbing? The answer is absolutely not. Mainly because we do not have any rocks. Everything that you're looking at is dirt or sediment on the bottom of a lake bed. And it took millions and millions and millions of years for it to build up. Then when it rose up, it compressed even more. And if you were to take a piton, try to drive it into the cliff,
It's a lot of juice. 105.
yes.
So one.
So right here as I pull into the parking lot is probably the best place to see the rabbit's head, and I'll try to point it out to you if it's not too foggy out there. Might be too far, you won't be able to see him, but should be able to see the rabbit and the hunter.
It really does make a big difference. But it's still hot.
Just as I start my turn here, I'm going to have you look to the right and a little behind you. And if you look right there, you see the rabbit's head sticking up. His ears stick straight up. The shape of his face is bulging eye. That is the rabbit. The hunter is right out here. You have to get out to see the hunter.
An hour behind that? You should be an hour ahead of that.
No, it should be that. Well, this is 2:34. Let's do 2:30.
You know what? So jetzt gekratzt.
We're not.
We're not.
We're trying to get you to do other things, especially.
Well, we'll find out.
You stay out there too long.
was that foreign critter you saw on your tour, right?
So do you live near Snoqualmie Falls? Or?
We have more restrooms here at Parking Point. Also, last year during our geology festival, which is a 2-day event, it's on a Friday and Saturday, they used this bus for the geology festival. So I don't get to do my rainbow tour like I normally do. We have a ranger that rides with us who is a geologist, and he's here to talk to people about geology. But the guy they had on my bus last year, people found out he had transferred here from Yellowstone National Park. And right away they started asking him questions about bears and nothing about geology. He said, well folks, if you're in Yellowstone doing any backcountry hikes, you have to have pepper spray on your person, either attached to your belt or your shirt pocket. He said if a bear approaches you, you spray them right in the face with it, they will run off, hopefully. But he says also now the Park Service is suggesting to people to put bells on their shoes and bells on their backpacks so the bears can hear you come and get out of the way. Well, the lady on my bus says, well, how do you tell the difference between a black bear and a grizzly when you're walking the trail? He says, ma'am, if you're walking one of the backcountry trails and you find a pile of scat, he said, take a stick and go through it. If it's got little berries and vegetation, that's a black bear. He said, if you go on a little farther, you find another pile of scat. You take a stick and go through it. If it's got little bells and smells like pepper, it's a grizzly. I always tell people, if you're out walking where there are grizzly bears, always make sure you have someone with you that you can outrun. You can't outrun the grizzly bear, but you can leave the other one behind.
Yeah, we had it.
Back in the days of the Pioneer, and that's why the sago lily became our state flower. The state tree is unusual. It's used to be the Colorado blue spruce, but it changed just a year and a half ago. Now it's the Clinton aspen.
My wife's in Colorado. She